Focusing on moving the hip all the way around the base. The head and upper body working as a counterweight. And change directions. Okay, even, smooth circles. All right, slightly wider stance. The hands on the hip, rotating the pelvis back, keeping the back straight as the body rolls forward. Pelvis rolls forward, body comes up. Let's do 20 of those as well. Focusing on that straight back. If you're looking for more of a challenge, bring the hands together. Moving from the hips. If you're looking for more of a challenge still, bring the hands behind the ears. And one more. Okay, bring that base in a little bit. Same as in the last exercise, still keeping that back straight, right? Rolling the pelvis back as we sink, bringing the pelvis forward as we raise. And continue. The dropping of the elbows helps to open and elongate the spine. Focusing on that hip roll. Hip rolls back as we sink, forward and raise. Last one. Okay, slightly wider stance. The back is once again flat as I lean forward. Reaching, looking past the hand, and the other side, back and forth. Focusing on that roll of the hip and the stretch to the side body with the reach. Good, and coming back up. Feet to about shoulder width. The hip movement is going to be the same as our first exercise, only now, as we roll back, with both legs a little bent, the body's going to roll through. Hips make a complete circle, and then the body rolls. Hips come forward and around, swishing through, and continue. Again, the hip movement is that complete arc. Making sure the legs never completely straighten. And one more. Change directions. First couple nice and slow. Work on bringing the pelvis all the way around that base. Once the movement feels more easy, then increase the speed of that drop. Last one. All right, shake those legs out for a second. Getting into a nice, comfortable stance. Finding one leg and begin working on externally rolling that hip. Drawing in, through, around, and back. As that roll gets a little easier, work on grabbing the ground lightly with the foot. Help feel that movement traverse up the leg into the hips. From there, drawing the umbilicus towards that lumbar spine just a little, so that rotation can travel up through the belly and become accessible to the upper body. Finally, raising the head and neck slightly towards the ceiling, so everything kind of stretch out and nothing gets stuck as we're pulling up from the ground into the torso. Changing legs, complete circles, in, through, out, and around. Really focusing on the part as it comes in and then shoots back out. Make sure every part of that circle has attention. Once the circle's feeling clean, add in that foot grab, belly draw, and neck raise as they feel comfortable for you. If you add them too quickly and things fall apart, it's okay. Just let them go, work on that circle for 3 revolutions again, and then gradually build them back online as you're comfortable. Okay, from here, figure eights, drawing in, pulling to the other side and around, making sure each circle is complete. Once the shape feels good, adding in that foot grab, belly draw, and neck lift. Connecting one circle into the next. And continue for a moment. Excellent. Working with that foot grab, pulling up through the musculature of the lower leg into the belly. Here, returning to center. And back to that first leg, working on internal rotation. In, back, around. Try to make that arc feel as comfortable and complete as you can in your hips. Working on the shape of the arc first. As you bring in that gentle foot grab, you may notice that the amplitude of the movement decreases a little bit. That's normal. As the muscles of the feet come online, it's limiting the amount of circle you can make. We can still make a clean circle inside those parameters. Switching to the other leg. Focusing on getting that circle comfortable first. Then that little bit of foot grab, belly draw, and neck raise. Rolling in to those figure eights. One arc connects to the next. Drawing in, around, and in. Playing with the foot grab, vocal draw, and neck raise. Letting the weight return to center. The weight pours across body, filling the rooted leg, pulling from the inguinal crease of the other leg, cross body to the shoulder, lifting from the belly, step, bring the feet together, shake it out for just a moment. We're going to do just a little interlude for shoulders next. So starting with a medium horse stance, so not the high horse, not the 90-degree low, but a more comfortable, sustainable stance in the middle. You should feel the quads engage. They should be burning immediately. We want to make sure the lateral aspect of the foot is parallel with the other foot. The back is straight, the umbilicus is drawing the spine, so I'm not letting my pelvis roll back. I want to make sure that there's enough abdominal engagement to maintain posture. From this base, I'm going to reach out front, fingertips reaching to the wall in front of me. And on every exhalation, I'm going to try to increase the reach, increase the space in all of my joints, okay? It's not a hard, violent reach. It's just a constant feeling of stretch where a little more energy is increased every breath out. Continue. Letting the arms relax, they gently draw in, pivoting at the shoulders, pressing away, fingertips towards the ceiling. Same feeling of constant press and opening through the shoulders and chest. Feel the weight of the arms as you push the heel of the hands away. Another form of Star Wars trash compactor. Constant stretch, space in the joints. The arms relax as the body raises. Weight pours across, pulling from that hip. And the foot settles. Okay, from here, one foot forward, other foot back, just in a relaxed stance. We're going to take the arm associated with the front leg and roll it back and around, little finger side, leading as I arc back. And we're going to do 25 circles on each side. Little finger leads as I arc around. Changing sides. Again, opposite leg forward, hand lifts, turns, little finger side out, and 25. All right, shake that up for a moment. Get a quick drink of water if you need to. Are there any questions before we go on to rolling and pressing?
Nope.
Sweet. Restart my timer. Where did timer go? All right. Okay, nice relaxed stance again. Working on great big circles, just like in last class. Hands and body part, draw together, hands brush the belly, and big circles away, drawing back together, away, and back together. Noticing how the palms, the heels of the palms draw me across, and pull me back up. Let's change directions. Just focusing on the circle, relaxing the waist, letting your weight fill the shape. Okay, changing directions. 1, we'll press on 3, 2, and now as we enter the third rotation, the hands draw back, pulling that left hip forward. As that left hip comes forward, the front hand begins to arc. I round that left hip, drawing the hands together at the height of the umbilicus. The weight comes to 50-50 as it transitions from front leg to back. As that back right leg drills up, space in the chest fills, and I'm able to press out. Other side. 1, 2, and on 3, the hands come forward. That right hip comes forward. As it rolls, the arm rounds, drawing into place, that hip draws back. As I switch legs to that drill, The space in that chest fills, the circle becomes a very slightly stretched oval. I use that elasticity to draw around and change sides. 1, 2, and on 3, once again, the hip roll rolls the arm. As I draw around, it brings the arm up. As I drill back leg, I press this circle into a slight oval, well stretching up and down my back, into that back bracing foot. That stretch brings me back around for 1, 2, and for 3, hip and arm roll. To the back leg for drill and press. Other side. 1, 2, for 3, rolling that left hip as the left arm rolls with and comes up to chamber, drilling into that back leg as that chamber is expressed as a press out into the side, using that stretch to go to the other direction. 1, 2, hip and right arm roll. As the hip rolls back, I transition to that left leg drills, press. One more nice and slow. 1, 2, 3. Left hip and left arm round. Right hip drills, right arm presses, chest expands. And at your own time, if you want to do 3 rolls to press, that's great. If you want to do roll to press, that's okay too. We're gonna come around and give each of you a bit of one-on-one help. So keep playing at your own pace. All right, Laura. Good, Laura. So at your phase in training, start working on making this circle less pronounced. So in the beginning, I like everyone to take these great big circles so they can just tell what a circle is, right? Because it's hard to identify unless you play with it in the bigger form. You're having no problem with that now. So from now on, as you roll through, you're doing great. Try to make the circle more contained in your base. So notice how my hips still move a little, right? But I don't need all of this to remind myself that there's a circle I'm supposed to be playing with, okay? There you go, and try to find space in that smaller movement. Much better, much better. Good, making sure each hip is still doing its job, rounding the front hip, drilling the back. There you go. Very nice, Laura. Keep playing with that. It's looking awesome. Rachel, little sister. Hey. Good, Rachel. Narrow your stance a little bit. Just a little bit on the shoulder. There you go. And that way, see you have more mobility in each leg as you begin to play with that. Yeah. Good, good. There, very nice. A little more comfy on the knees. Yeah. Yeah, you've got this one. As you keep playing with it, making sure that this roll is as in line with the roll in the hips as possible. Very nice. The more the upper and the lower can correspond and mirror each other, the better your power transfer will be from your feet into your hands. Okay? Very nice, very nice. And Mel's camera is off, but if Mel decides to turn their camera on, I'll be happy to give instruction there as well. All right, let's go on to some stepping with this. A quick sip of water.
Joey?
Yes?
Is it fair to say that we're actually doing figure eights when we're doing those rolls?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I started to feel that this time.
That's awesome. Yeah, the hip circles and the figure eights, I do that every day. I know it gets kind of repetitive, but this is just, the basic scales of martial arts, right? As you work on that roll, you build that coordination idea of how that lower body can draw into the middle and finally the upper. Once you make that connection, everything else becomes a possibility. Before the lower can influence the upper, it's really hard to make substantial progress. And so those figure eights are definitely gonna come in a big way in absolutely everything we do, right? Again, here, it just looks like one great big circle, but you notice how as I close my circle up, I'm doing an externally rolling figure eight, right? Just like in our warm-up. And that's a pretty stable movement in the hips, right? There's no break to it. If I want to create that break, I roll that front hip a little more, taking me off that orbit, and then slingshot out of that orbit by drilling into the back leg. And so essentially, I'm taking that constant round and giving it a break vector, and then following that through. And so yeah, it all comes in the figure eights, and all returns to there between each of the various movements that we're going to be playing with. It's a great question. So next up, timer up. There you are. Okay. So, with the feet to even again, we have our roll to press. We first add in the step. As I draw to the other side, notice how I'm weighting the foot that I'm drawing towards, unweighting the foot that I'm pulling away from, right? Because this foot is now unweighted, it can take a step. That arc brings the toe to the middle of that stable foot. From here, continues that arcing step out and around. Hands come to chamber, round the leg, press. From here, the hands are going to extend out, and the foot's going to turn with, okay? That gives me a clean line to draw my body on. From that pull, I'm now going to bring that left foot in, touch, step as the hands round, roll as the hands begin to raise, drill, hands press. The hands and foot turn out, draw, feet touch, continue that arc out, roll the hip, drill that back leg, reach as the foot turns, pull, pulling yourself up, continuing that circle in that left leg that steps out and around, rounding that left hip, drilling that back right hip. Let's do a couple more of these. Reach as the foot turns, pull, filling that front leg, back foot touches as the arms draw, continuing that circle in both hands and leg, round to press. Two more with me. Reach, foot turns. Draw, pulling the weight up. Continue that arc around to drill, reach, foot turn, pull, feet touch. Good, continuing your own pace. Okay, Rachel, the line of that draw, I'll turn side body first so you can see, okay? So there's not much space for my middle. I'm pulling my belly button forward, all right? If I try to draw from my shoulders, I lose my hips. I want to move my center of mass with that pull. So I'm pulling that, there you go, and pulling that center that makes everything feel smooth and even. Good. From that center, you evenly get that head neck draw and that foot draw coming from that base pull. Does that help? Okay. I know, space is tough. Good. Much better, much better. You gotta find as much ease in these movements as you can. There you go. Yeah, but don't lose that backhand. As that backhand draws in, see how it's not traveling past my hip, because now my hips made it up. There's no reason for it to go back here. I want to keep it in that chamber so as I step out, it's accessible for that next roll to press. There you go. Very nice. Keep playing with that. Don't worry, take your time. The smaller circle is looking really good. Giving you a lot more control of your knees and hips, and your coordination is coming very quickly. You're doing awesome. Keep playing with that. It's exactly where it should be, Laura. And any questions on this before we go into the form? All right, you're all doing great. So next up, we're going to run through the intro of the form a few times, and then carrying it through to our 7-star presses. If we get beyond that, we'll add in some new fun stuff. So beginning with the feet together. Relax the weight. The left hip pours into the right hip, filling that right leg. From here, drawing from that left inguinal crease across to that right shoulder, the belly drawn to the back, we're going to raise the leg from those deeper postural muscles from the psoas. We step out to the side, and the weight comes to even. Take a second, make sure your feet are parallel, make sure everything's where you want them. There's no shame in adjusting. Good. The feet grab the ground just a little. The belly draws the spine just a little. Does that feel like you're about to do a sit-up but haven't quite committed to sitting up yet? Right, so there's engagement, but no actual pull. The head neck from the occiput, from the back of the head, raises just a little towards the ceiling. And the knees are slightly bent. As I inhale, the arms are going to raise and the legs are going to straighten. We inhale together. And we continue our inhalation till the arms reach parallel with the ground, right about here. As we start our exhalation, the clavicles, those long bones up here, are going to knit towards the center of the sternum. As they do that, it's going to round the chest, drawing the arms in. It's going to pull back again at concave. From here, the hands come to yin tong, that point right between the eyes, and draw down the center line. The knees roll in just a little bit. The hands sink to the level of the knees. As they round the knees, they draw the knees back out to a more stable arch. The belly draws the back as we lift. The hands are slightly behind the body here. And as they arc in front, sitting down just a little. Drawing the palms of the chest together, the elbows low. Hands pivot, sitting in a chair as the hands press away, creating, once again, that round space in the chest. And we're going to go to our first press. The weight shifts right just a little and then pulls left as the hands draw, pulling that right leg up, stepping out on a 45 on the heel, roll to press and relax. Let's go through all of that one more time together, then I'll take questions about any details, and we'll drill a few more times together after that. So again, feet together. Relax that weight, don't worry. First step is to transfer the weight from the left foot into the right, so that weight pour up and over. Drawing from that left hip crease, that right shoulder crease, the belly pulling just a little towards the back. The foot raises from those deeper postural muscles and steps out to about shoulder width. Feet are parallel, toes are even. Relax the weight, make sure it's a comfortable position for you. Foot grab, belly to belly. As we inhale, legs straighten just a bit as the arms raise. Exhaling, the clavicles, those long bones, draw together a little, getting around. Fingertips dive. Knees come together just a bit. Round the knees, pulling them back. That stable arch. As we lift, lift. Sink, sink. Drawing the hands to the hands. And press. And press. The weight shift. And then draws to the right. Round, round. Comes up. Step. Roll. And relax. Okay. Any questions? Roll that a bit.
Is the knees together new?
That's always been there a little bit. I've just been focusing on that a bit more for the last few months.
Okay, because that a lot from my experience, because I used to try to open
Mhm.
and that just like closed like all the pressure from that movement. So
Right. And for me, it feels again, everything, the body, the whole body is kind of collapsing. And we hit that critical point in the base, and then starting from the base, working on aligning all those structures up one at a time. Knees, hip, low back, mid, upper chest, and then everything is in a line, and ready to go for the full. Does that make sense? Cool. Any other questions? Okay, let's do it again. Timer is here.
not a question, but somebody's mic is on and it's causing back.
I think it's Caro's. Sweet. Yay, the echo's gone. Okay, having vanquished the echo, let's continue. With the feet together. The weight pours up and over into that right stabilizing leg. From here, that inguinal space or quad pulls across to the opposite shoulder. Remember, the shoulders and hips always correspond in Chinese medicine and martial arts. Raising from that belly to step out. Get comfortable on your feet. Belly to spine, foot grab, head, neck raise, slight bend in the knees. As we inhale, arms lift, legs straighten. Not quite to lockout. As the arms get to shoulder, we begin our inhalation, which allows the chest to concave, drawing the fingertips in to right between the eyes at yin tong. As the hands begin that dive down, the belly pulls the hands down. The hips pull the hands down. And that hip pull is what makes the knees draw in. Rounding the knees, lifting, stacking the hips on the knees, the belly on the hips, the chest on the belly, all the way up. Exhaling as the hands come together. The right middle finger is just a little in front of the left. Drawing in, elbows are heavy. Pivot and press. The hands pull left for just a second before rolling around that and drawing right, pulling that right foot up, rounding as we step out on that 45, roll that front hip, drill back. Right front hand turns forward, right foot turns forward with it just a little bit. As that right hand drops, that left hand and the body are going to roll up and over and reach. Now here, if I let my belly button go, my hips sink back and I can't feel my feet anymore, right? Rather, as I pull through, I want to make sure there's a feeling of stretch to that inguinal space. So as I draw down, that dropping of the hands pulls that foot up. stepping out, round to drill. And one of these on the other side. Left hand comes forward, left foot turns with it. Rolling the hands, pulling to that belly button so I can feel the hip as the hands draw down. Pulling that hip up, hand pivots, stepping out, round the foot, drilling back, and to there again. So again, feet together. Weight draws up and through. Pulling left hip to right shoulder through the belly. Stepping out and fill. Inhale as the arms raise and the legs straighten. Exhale as the hands are drawn in from that sternum to right between the eyes, dropping down the body as the hips fold in. Pull the knees back to stable as you round them. Stack the body on top of itself as you lift. Rounding as you sink, drawing the hands together. Pull the body and the hands closer. Roll the hands as you press, pressing away. Slight shift left as we roll then to the right. Which draws that foot up, stepping out on that 45, round to press. Hand and foot turn, rolling up and over, pulling that back hip up and in as we step out, round to press. Front hand and foot turn, rolling the back hand and hip up and over, pulling that back hip in, facing forward for this one, round, press, and relax. Okay, everyone, give that sequence a try once by yourselves. Best efforts, and then we'll go on from there. Very nice, everyone. Good folding, April. Great memories, Craig and Pam. Just a couple classes in, you're doing great. Nice job, Rachel, coordinating both the hands and the feet. Eric, your posture's looking spot on. It's looking very nice. And Laura, you're adjusting all those small circles. Good. Yep. Very, very nice. Okay, everyone, relax for just a moment, okay? We're gonna do some standing in just a second here, but first, so what we're working on right now is kind of the prologue to the form. The actual form doesn't begin until after we've done 7 mildly different versions of that coil to ward off press. And the reason being, Li Taiji is not just a Taiji system. It's Li Rudong's master thesis in martial arts with kind of Taiji as the underlying guiding principle. And so what he's saying here is that if you can do this coil to press consistently in a number of different ways, then you have a background sufficient to move on and work on the rest of the stuff that I have to teach. And so whereas the other 3 Li Taiji forms begin with just the classic opening to lift to step, the first set, the spring set, has all these movements prior to that, just getting our bodies ready for the coils and rotations that are necessary to make everything else have the appropriate body feel. Does that make sense? Awesome. So as you play with this, again, I know the hip circles get really repetitive. They get repetitive for me too. Put on a book and tape, watch a show that you like, whatever you need. Just a few minutes every day of making sure you do a complete circle one leg, complete circle the other leg, draw those circles together, change directions, pull that energy up, make it accessible to the hands. And once you can draw from the ground and feel it in your hands, then we're ready to go. You know, that's kind of that first most important thing, that when you have it, you have the context to begin to understand everything else. Sound good? Awesome. Let's do some standing to finish it up. So for the standing, feet start together once again. We do this a lot. The weight pours up and over, filling that right hip. Again, drawing that left inguinal space, what we call qua in Chinese, towards the jin, towards the shoulder. Pulling the belly to the spine just a little bit as we lift those deeper muscles. Step out to about shoulder width and let that weight fill. Again, make any adjustments you need to feel comfortable here. It's totally okay. Nextly, as I begin to draw the belly to the spine and sink down, the arms begin to raise. But what makes this, kind of kung fu-like and nifty is that I'm not having my shoulders and chest to neutral. That concavity of the chest, that drawing of the clavicles to the manubrium and the sternum, creates a splaying and opening of those flat scapular bones in the back. As that happens, we can kind of bypass the shoulder and begin to feel those deeper postural paraspinal muscles, okay? And so as we sink the feet down and raise up, occasionally I like to just sort of oscillate the hands a little up and down and try to feel what of the musculature in my back I can activate as I do that very light hand movement. Then in my standing, I try to maintain that feeling in my back as long as possible. I mean, inevitably in the beginning it will go away, and then just kind of play with that posture, play with that lift, until you feel that back activate and help support again. Holding the arms up for 15 minutes to the shoulders is a really hard task. But if you can train the side body and the back to do it, it becomes much, much easier. From here, I want to make sure that all the pressure is in the quads and not in my knees, right? I achieve that by making sure the umbilicus is constantly drawing to the spine. If the hips go back, all this weight drops into the patella and the kneecaps. That's no fun. If the hips stay neutral, not tucked, but just nice and in place, that weight can drop evenly into the thighs where it's supposed to be and helps to better protect my knees. The fingertips are gently stretching towards each other. The elbows are the heaviest point of the arms. And continue to hold. Awesome, Rachel. Hi, Tobin. Okay, about 30 more seconds of this and we'll close class. The arms sink as the body raises. The weight relaxes, and then drawing into that right leg, pulling cross body through that hip as the left foot raises and settles. Inhaling as the arms raise up. Exhaling and relaxing as the arms slowly settle down. Palms covering the dantian. Left hand over right for more feminine yin energy. Right hand over left for more masculine yang energy. And 3 slow rolls. And for this roll, I'm not just rubbing my belly. I'm trying to feel my belly and whole body kind of roll counter to the belly roll. Very similar to those big circles we're taking right before we got into the ward-off press. Changing directions. And relax. Okay, that is the time we have for today. Great job, everyone. As always, when I post this on YouTube, if you want to see your part of the training on there, just send me a text or email saying that it's okay to show that. If not, I will automatically cut out any close-ups on your screen. Sound good?